Take me back through the night when you were out at Club Muse and you meet Tupac for the first time. Everything down to what you had on and what he had on, if you can remember it.
Okay. So I was not trying to go out. I was heartbroken. I had caught my boy, the guy I was seeing in the club with his man's girlfriend, and I was sad. And my friend was like, "Nah, we're gonna go out. We're gonna shake this off. Come on, get dressed. I'm coming to get you." Go to the club, moping around the whole night, trying to have a good time. Um, think what I had on. If I could remember, let me get back to that because I got to get the whole vision going. But I remember that some people were performing, and then they announced that Bobby Brown had stepped into the club. I didn't know who Tupac was at the time. Didn't know nothing about him. And my girlfriend went batshit crazy, was like, "Oh my God, I gotta meet him." Ah, okay. So she grabs me and drags me from one side of the club to the other side because it's like a stage. And we're on this side. The stage is here. And Bobby Brown gets on. He's singing. I'm being dragged through the crowd. And then Pac and Biggie get on there and they do that song they have together. And then as they're coming off the stage, we get to the VIP entrance and we get bombarded with all these people, their entourage. And I don't know how Pac just materialized in front of me and her. And Bobby Brown was next to him. And my girlfriend told Bob, well, she thought she was saying to Bobby Brown, "Where are you going without me?" And Pac heard her and was like, "Oh, really? It's like that?" And I'm just standing there like, what the hell? Because my friend is kind of on the conceited side. So this is like another side of her I never saw. And everybody just started pushing out. And we're standing like how I'm looking at you right now. And Pac standing in front of me like you are. And he grabbed both of us and just, made sure we got out safely. But as soon as we got out, he let her go. Like we were just kind of like staring at each. I never said one word to him. He ain't say nothing to me. Then he said, "What's your name?" And we started talking once we got outside. And I just felt like I was being hypnotized, for a lack of a better word. I really did. I was like those eyes, his voice, his face, everything. I was just like, who are you? Like, where did you come from? Like, why are you talking to, like, what is this? And then, he was like, "Yo, whatever, they rolling up, smoking." He's like, "What's up? What you doing?" Like, "What's up? You want to come hang out? We can smoke. We're going to go do this. The club's all closed." So I'm like, all right, I'm thinking, my girlfriend's going to go like, on a little adventure. He asked her and she's like, "Uh-uh." And he was like, "Okay." And he was like, "Well, you still want to come?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I'm gonna go." And he's like, "You sure?" Whatever. She was like, "Nah, I ain't going with y'all." And he's like, "All right, platinum." He's like, "You go home and polish your platinum, baby girl." He was like, "I'm gonna go home with gold over here." Like, he was like, "You're still a little stuck." I was like, "No, she. But that was how we met. And Big was there, another one of his friends, his tour manager, and another female. So we all went to the ironically, it was, what's this hotel on 57th Street? The same hotel he got arrested in, the Parker Meridian.
Parker
That
Meridian.
was the first place. He had a suite, and we all went there. We're smoking, we're drinking for a little while, and we're talking, chopping it up. And I was like, it. This is what I want to do, and I'm going to do it. So I stayed with him the night, and
Uh-huh.
I did not regret it. Had the time of my life. And
Now you know I gotta ask you on a scale of 1 to 10.
11. 11. The energy, the pack, everything, total package, energy, rough when he needs to be and gentle when he don't need to be.
So none of this in his songs was fake. It was all
Oh
real.
no.
Like all the everything he wrote in the letters, everything in the songs, it was all real.
He was
As far as like
he
his
was a
love making
very,
abilities.
absolutely, but overall he's just a transparent person. He couldn't help it. So, absolutely. I heard about what happened at that video shoot after that video with him and Jodeci or Casey and JoJo or whatever. I believe it. He definitely got that type of energy.
You talking about the threesome between him, Heather Hunter, and Angel Kelly, right? And Nina Hartley,
That,
or the foursome, I would say.
that's yeah, I could believe that.
Oh,
I don't know,
gosh.
and thank God I didn't want to know at the time, but yeah.
Okay, so I remember you mentioning previously that you had lost your beeper. So how did you two get in contact with each other after that first encounter, your first night?
Yeah. So I lose everything. I'm getting better at it, but yeah, I lost my two-way pager. You know what's ironic is that I recently found um, a picture that I had, and on the back of that picture has his two-way pager number in his handwriting
Wow.
that he gave to me. I was like, wow. But yeah, I lost my Sky pager or whatever it was called back then, and I went out one night with my same girlfriend, and Big sees us. And he recognizes us and he's like, hey, how you know what's up? How you doing? Whatever. And he's like, oh, you know, Pac's in town. And I'm like, nah, I don't, because I lost my pager. And he was like, oh, nah, I know he would want to see you again. He was like, hold on. He was like, don't go nowhere. He's like, before the night's over, he was like, I'm gonna get back to you. So I'm like, oh, all right, cool, whatever, you know. And sure enough, before them lights came on in that club, Big pulled up in front of me and was like, yeah, I spoke to him. You know, I'm going to take you to where he's at. I'm like, okay. In hindsight, I'm not sure if he spoke to him, but we all went down to the Hemsley Hotel, and the people that were performing at him, because that was like the day before he did MTV Unplugged. So like David Hollister was there, you know, they had like a lot of people, and they just had suites, and everybody was hanging out, smoking, drinking. So we're chilling there. I'm like, you know, my girlfriend's with me this time. And you know, like waiting for him to come, and lo and behold, it turns around. It's like 5, 6 in the morning, and we left the club at 4. So it's like 6 something, 6:30, and Pac knocks on the door. And somebody tells me, go get the door. So I go get the door and I open it, and he sees me and he's like, this is how I know Big didn't speak to him. Cause he wasn't happy. He was like, what are you doing here? Like, that's like, and I was like,
Like, this
oh,
what we doing?
exactly. That's exactly. I think that's along the lines of what he said first. And then he's like, what, like, and I was like, nah, Big told me he was here. He told me, you know, I thought he, whatever. So we chopped it up, and he's like, well, I'm about to go, you know, I got to go do some press runs. And I want you to meet me back at the hotel, you know, go get yourself together. And he's like, we gonna go out on a date, you know, and he told me come back around 7 o'clock, which I definitely did. And that was the start. It had to be. I
You
shouldn't.
tell you to come at 7, you're coming at 7. Period.
The way them butterflies worked, I floated all the way home and all the way back. So.
Oh my gosh. So, okay, so just rewinding it back a little bit, how was he and Biggie's relationship at the time? And also, I wanted to ask you, why do you think Biggie lied? Like, do you think his intention was to surprise Tupac that night, or, you know, what do you think happened?
I never really thought about it, but you know how men are. Maybe, you know, my girlfriend was cute. Maybe he's like, all right, I'm gonna take them to where they at. Maybe, I don't know. He didn't. The funny thing is, Big didn't do nothing funny. He didn't do anything that caused alarm, but I have no idea why. And their relationship was good at that time, very good. They were very close. Every time he came to New York, they was linking up, hanging out. So, you know, not that I had seen. When I went to the hotel, and even when I stayed there, Big stayed there the night as well. So the first night I was there. But I got to, know the dynamics a little better as time went on. That was only my second time being around both of them. So
Okay, okay. Now, were you dating anybody during the time that you met Tupac? I know you just said that you.
I was. It was just cool, just sitting out there with him like a regular person,
That
talking,
sounds like some
kissing.
ghetto Romeo and Juliet.
Might have been until then we skated off eventually, but we hung out there for a little while, and we just did really cool. Like, to me, it was cool. I had a time with him. Every time was special. Every moment I appreciated. Set that time. Look.
I love that. No, I'm just sitting here like, yo, I've never experienced nothing like that. I mean, I've experienced guys
Mhm.
who,
Always cool.
make you feel good every time you're with them, but obviously I've never experienced a Tupac because there's only one. So, you just have to know that, like, as a fan, I'm jealous.
Oh, don't be jealous.
Just a little bit. Okay, so Puffy parties.
Mhm.
You were at Puffy's birthday party in 1994 with Pac, right?
No, we met up there.
Oh, okay. You met him at the party.
Mm-hmm. I did.
Okay, take me through the entire night. Like, who was there? Who, where did you see anything weird? Was it just a good time?
So, at this time, it wasn't the freak off time. This was the just getting started time. I'm sure it was weird shit going on behind the scenes because them rumors been going for years. But I remember what I was wearing. I had on this really pretty dress. It was like a spaghetti strap, long tulle gown to my feet that just like accentuated the curves. It was black, and yeah, I went there. He told me he was gonna wind up going, so like if I was gonna go, we'd probably link up or whatever. So I was like, all right, I was going anyways before I knew he was going. But it was dope. It was everybody who you could think of at that time who was famous, but not as elaborate as his party started to get. With like really A-list. But this was hip hop. This was R&B. This was the culture at the time. They were all there. Everybody was dressed nice. Some people in suits, tuxedos, sweaters, just the vibes it was a dress up fancy party. The music was amazing. They had the stage, and that's where most of the, industry people were at. And then, on the bottom, it was a mix of everybody. And yet, it still wasn't like VIP. You could go up and down and move around however you wanted to. And that party was dope. Eventually, I ended up bumping into him, and, we spoke, we hung out for a little while. And then he asked me what I was doing, if I wanted to like, leave with him or at the end of the night or meet up with him. And I was like, of course. So that was still like in the beginning stages too, as well. So,
okay. Now who, if you could name like some celebrities that you remember being at the party, who was all at the party that night?
all of Bad Boy. Remember too many more people because it's like these were people that I saw all the time at parties. So it's not like, wow, that was the environment too of the 90s. Like, you're not so impressed with these celebrities because they're so easily accessible. They're everywhere. They're at the mall. They're at the basketball courts in certain tournaments. They're at clubs. So, you see them everywhere,
Okay. Okay, so with all of the recent headlines about Puffy and all of the allegations of the drugging and the abuse and all the drugs that he's allegedly on, are you surprised by any of the headlines?
Absolutely not. Nope.
Oh, why, Desiree? Why?
Because I know a lot of people that know him. I met one of his old security guards, and I've been to the tea about him. Weird shit, liking strap-ons. I met this girl one time that did a photo shoot for him. It's a nice young lady from Canada. And me and her ended up going on vacation together. And a few months later, and she told me something that she saw go down at his house in the Hamptons. And then a few months later, she told me that she went hanging out with like his bodyguard and his entourage, and somebody drugged her, and she doesn't know what happened. So none of this is alarming. And then she went back to Canada. So.
And how long ago was this? Was this in the 90s?
This was in the 2000s. Maybe, yeah, maybe like around 2004, 2006, somewhere around there. He's been doing.
Yeah, the earliest allegations that I could find date back to like what, 91, 92, where he supposedly drugged the girl and she doesn't remember what happened.
That's a similar story to what I heard from somebody that I know is not, I know she's not lying because she had no reason to lie. First, she told me she saw somebody doing something to him, and she walked in and she thought, he didn't, he never said nothing. He didn't even acknowledge her. So she's thinking she's under the radar. Next thing, she's hanging out in Miami, and, she comes back and says she don't know what happened, and she woke up, and so,
What did she say she saw?
someone giving him head. That's as far as I'll go, and then you could do the math.
Were they famous? Did she say they were famous?
Oh, no, they wasn't famous. They was an assistant working with her. Yeah. So.
An assistant. I want to guess, but I'm not.
She didn't tell me no, it's not somebody that you would know. It was somebody that, she came there, she worked doing photography and, some type of media work where they shot ads and things like that. They were there to work, and she walked in the wrong bathroom and caught the wrong thing.
Oh, wow.
So, she got drugged. It probably was some videotapes made to tell her to shut the hell up and don't repeat what she saw. I would assume. But I don't know because I wasn't there.
And how do you feel about the case being reopened, or the idea of Puffy having paid the Southside Crips to get Tupac and Suge killed on the night of September 7th, 1996? Do you believe the rumors? Do you think that he's capable of something like that?
Yeah, I think cowards are capable of paying people to do things they would like to do, of course.
Okay.
I hope it ain't true, but if it is, karma's a bitch and everybody has a day.
For sure. All right, Desiree, I want to switch gears a little bit and talk about something a little bit more serious, something that bothers me as a Tupac fan, because I believe that this is ultimately what changed the trajectory of his life. So on November 19th, 1993, Pac gets arrested for his infamous sex abuse case with Ayanna Jackson, which, like I said, ultimately changed the trajectory of his life. Take me through that night from your perspective. Did he call you when he got out of prison, or did you just hear about it on the news?
I heard about it when he got locked up, and I spoke to him maybe a week, 2 weeks later. And, this is around the time where we're I only knew him. You said 93 is when this happened, right?
Yeah.
91, 93. Yeah, that was the beginning stages of us dating. But we had a really cool friendship and bond that in some aspect he trusted me enough to talk to me about it. And, he just, first of all, the anger wasn't the problem. He was hurt. He was hurt that people would view him as a racist. He was hurt that a Black woman of all people was putting this allegation on him of something he did not do. He told me how he met her, what transpired. He told me that, he invited her back over, but he wasn't really digging her like that. So, he was like, she can give him some head or whatever. And, he just told me he fucked up. He should not have left her in that room. But other than that, he didn't do nothing to her. He wouldn't do nothing to nobody. And as I spent time with him and got to know him, I knew he was not capable of something like that. Because it's not about how many women you could have. It's about how you view women. A lot of men rape and do things to women and they're fine. And you be like, well, I'm sure he don't have a problem. It wasn't that type of thing. Pac loved women like a person would love art or loves music, and it wasn't, I want to abuse women. It was, I love them. I want to see what turns them on and how they work and what's the inner makings of this person. So, that was a hard slap in the face to him to have that said.
I'm so happy that you said that, because oftentimes I would hear women say oh, well, why would such and such rape this person? He doesn't have to do it. Well, nobody has to rape.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter how attractive you are, but you made it clear that it's not about what a man looks like. It's about what he thinks about women.
How he feels about women. And Pac loved women. A man has to hate or have a resentment for women in order to hurt them in that capacity. And that was not his character at all.
So the night that the police busted in his hotel room, it was rumored that they had found you and Tupac.
Yeah.
Do you care to elaborate?
His lawyer ended up contacting me and telling me about it. And telling me, just to be on the lookout, just in case the press shows up at my house, which upon hearing that, I got my ass right up out of there and went with some family members out of town because, yeah, that would have, I don't know, that would have ruined my life probably at the time, even though now it's made some people pretty famous, but, and he told me,
Kardashians.
I know, right? But yeah, that tape will never see the light of day. It don't matter anyways. So, but they did find the tape. And, I always, like, after everything was said and done, my only question is, like, this tape was made maybe 3 to 6 months before they busted you in that hotel. Why was this damn tape with you? This man was walking around with this tape everywhere he went.
Oh, girl, he loved you. He couldn't get enough.
Yeah.
Even when you were gone, it's
I was like, what are you doing? Like, so yeah, they found that tape, and one day I woke up and I had come back to the city for the holidays, and I don't know if it was Thanksgiving or if it was Christmas, but literally I'm walking in the train station and I see that the police found a sex tape with someone they believe to be a minor, and they believe to be under the influence of alcohol and drugs, and they are trying to find her. So
you see how they try to railroad a black man in America, especially when you're a rapper, especially back then during that time when
exactly
politicians to endorse rappers. It was, they were public enemy number one.
So I saw that and I was like, wow. Like, and my mentality was, as I told his lawyer also, I don't want to speak to the cops because I don't really trust them. I feel like they'll try to find some way to use this against him and put him into more problems. So, I met with his lawyer at the time. We had a conversation and I told him I'm going to just, go disappear for a little while. I don't want this type of attention. It's, I would have been so embarrassed. Not now, but then. But yes.
So did the cops ever approach you about the tape?
Never.
Get out of there?
Never, thank God. So in the precinct, I lived literally 5 blocks away from the precinct that arrested him, the precinct where the tape was. Yeah, I lived right by Midtown North. So.
And you said that the tape will never see the light of day. How do you know that for sure?
Well, one, the evidence should be destroyed, but I think I can't say that. I can say it to you off the record, but I can't say it.
Okay.
It's not a good look.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. I respect that. Okay. So how did you feel personally at the time when you're reading all these headlines and you're seeing all these media personalities talk about Tupac on TV, and just talk about this story of him being a racist or an alleged racist? How did it make you feel as a woman in his life and somebody that knew him personally?
I was angry. I was angry. And
to beat her ass?
I still want to beat her. No, I'm dead serious. Now, but I was angry because subconsciously I knew that this was going to change him. And especially when he was locked up, it was so hurtful to see place knowing that he did not do that. Like really knowing it in my heart of hearts that he did not do that. And that was just of all the things you could be in jail for, and you didn't do it. And that's an ugly thing to have over you. And it hurt him. People think that Pac was an angry, hateful individual. No, that was born through hurt. He wasn't like that. He was made to be like that. So.
Now, I have my own theory. Now, my fan theory is that she was down for the train. She was down to get partied. And then, when she came out of the room trying to, kiss on Tupac and all that other type of shit, he didn't want her because she just had so many willies in her mouth.
She wasn't. So he wasn't in the room no more when she came out.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, what exactly did he tell you happened that night?
He told me she came through. He wasn't really interested in fucking with her. Like, she gave him head, whatever. And like, they all came out in the living room, was chilling because it was a 1-bedroom suite that they had. And that, he stepped out the room and he just left. Like, he went to do something else. I don't know what, and I don't recall, exactly. But he said he left her there. Like, she was chilling. She was comfortable. She knew them niggas. And he left her. He wasn't trying to chill with her. He wasn't trying to vibe with her. He actually said he wasn't going to call her ever again. So maybe, she felt like she was down and he rejected her maybe, and you know, or it could be another theory too. Could be that the people she was with, I don't know. I don't know, because it's kind of weird. It's like you said these people did things to you, and then at the end of the day, they all get off with it, and he's the only one that gets locked up. So I don't even know if
And
she
then he
was
gets
just,
convicted of sex abuse, which was like smacking her ass
yeah,
after she sucked his willy on the dance floor. That's what's crazy to me.
and goes to jail.
Yeah, they really. I think they wanted him for getting off for shooting those two cops. But of
Absolutely.
course, that's all speculative. There's no way to prove that.
Yeah, as well as, having politicians against you, so they get you locked up, they're all in cahoots. It's nothing for somebody to put a call in and say, give him the max you can give him or whatever, but it didn't seem right. It seemed like some bullshit.
1.5 to 4.5 years in prison for
Smacking an ass.
somebody's ass is insane. And it wouldn't have ever happened if he was a white rock star.
Absolutely not. He wouldn't even been in court. Except unless it was nowadays, because, now it's like you can't even say, you look nice, ma'am. But
Right.
not to take away from the people who really, have gone through some things. But the temperature's really crazy right now.
Yeah, it's like, it's like the pendulum can never just be in the middle. It always has to shift from one extreme to the next.
I agree with you. Totally.
Okay, so my next question is, Pac stated in his now infamous unofficial press conference outside the courtroom that he was guilty of being a male chauvinist pig, but he wasn't guilty of rape.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think he meant by that?
Maybe the way he sexualized women in his songs. But other than that, I couldn't see, he didn't come off like a sexist pig to me. But I guess that's what he means probably, is like in the music, how he portrays women. But that can't be all, because there's other songs that portray them differently. So yeah, he's probably saying like, yeah, I might have sexualized women. I might be a whore, but that doesn't mean I'm a racist.
Yeah, you know which interview I'm talking about, right?
The one
He said, I'm guilty of a lot of things, and with all the news reporters was
outside the courtroom you're talking about. Yes, yeah. Yes, I
and
do.
then I also feel like, not for nothing, that's not the actions of a guilty man, because he was giving up a lot. He was saying a lot for him to be on trial, and his lawyer to not be around, and it not be an official press conference.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
Normally, a guilty person would shut up, just keep their head down.
They hide.
Yep. But he wasn't, so that just, I will never understand how that came about. Like, she would have to really tell me, and I think she's a liar, so that's just wild.
Yeah, I wouldn't really have too much rap for Ayanna Jackson. I might punch in her face. But because I'm a stan, so it's like, I don't, but that's just me. So, all right. I've always felt like this man's life was entertaining from beginning to end. I mean, literally like a movie. Mm-hmm. So by the end of 1993, he had just shot two off-duty police officers, two white off-duty police officers in Atlanta on October 31st, 1993. Mm-hmm. And then about a month later, he gets accused of rape. And then he spends the entire year defending his reputation, only to get shot the end of November 30th, 1994 at Quad Studios. Before he got shot at Quad, I understand that you two fell out.
Yes.
Tell me why.
Well, so like we had this thing. He knew I used to go to this one club, the Tunnel, every Sunday, like clockwork. I'd be there. So when he would pop into town, he'd always surprise me, or sometimes he'll call me, but sometimes he would just pop up on me. And this was one of them times where he did the pop up and he didn't tell me he was coming. And damn, I had the cutest outfit on. I had my hair kind of like yours, and I had like this little Chinese short set in ivory with these taupe suede strappy sandals with a heel. And I was coming out the club, and I seen my homeboy owned a bike shop in Queens. So I had, like me and my girls, like a neighborhood friend though, not like a guy I was dating. He had a bike shop, and me and my girls used to go over there. Like we'd ride on bikes with them sometimes, as and I bumped into two of his employees, and they were on bikes outside. So one of them was like, "You want to go for a ride real quick?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I'm drunk, the wind in my hair, I'm feeling good." And when I come back from that quick ass bike ride, as fate would have it, He pulls the bike up. I get off and Pac is standing right there with his boys. And he actually was telling his boys, like, yo, this girl that I'll be dating or whatever, like, she's, introduce you to her, and I pop off this bike. And he just looked at me like, really? And I'm like, in my mind, I'm like, we had an understanding when we first started talking to each other. And the understanding was when we together, we together. And when we not together, we not together. And I knew like he was exercising that. But at least to me, I prefer the honesty. Tell me what it is and let me be a part of it if I want to. And I definitely wanted to be a part of it. So I was like, all right. But, it just threw me off because him getting upset at me. And then at the time, I'm young. I don't know how to communicate and express myself or even defend myself. I caught an attitude in 2.2 seconds. So I'm like, and what? Like.
You cussed his ass out, didn't you?
When we got into it verbally, we did.
So crazy.
And yeah, I cussed his ass out and walked to the corner and sat my ass on the curb and cried. So my girlfriend had to get me up off the curb and into a cab because I was devastated. Like, I couldn't even believe, like, why didn't I just say, like, it's nothing. Like, this is, these people work for somebody I grew up with from childhood. Like, it was just nothing. But I stood on my 10 toes and I said what I had to say. And yeah, then all that stuff happened. And when he got shot, I woke up.
Do you remember some of the things you said to him? Like when you, in a heat of the moment?
Nah, but I know my attitude, how it is though. Like, so, and what? Like, what? Like.
What was he saying to you?
Oh, well, I remember that. That's the funny part. I don't remember what I said. But I know he just was like, yo, he was like, I came here with my boys from, like, I don't know if they was from Cali or Atlanta or whatever they was his friends. And he came there and he was like bragging about me. And he's like, and then you hopping off these bikes and like, and I was just like, what? Like, and I don't remember what else I said, but I said some shit. And we went our separate ways that night and we ain't speak. And then he got shot. And I woke up and I saw that shit, and I jumped up, got up, ran, got a cab, got to the hospital, and he had just left. Yeah, because that, how that is. Something bad happens to somebody, you on bad terms, that's not where I want to leave things at,
Yeah.
And
now, was Pac always the jealous type? Because it's based on the story that you just told me about him getting mad, you hopping off of a motorcycle. It sounded like he was jealous. I know you said you had your own agreement, but that's usually one-sided. That's right. Like, men can do what they want, but that don't mean that they want you doing what you want. And I'm sure you know that. Now, at least.
Yeah, of course. I don't know if it was jealousy. I mean, I feel somewhat it had to be somewhat, but I wouldn't say like he was like jealous like that. I think, like, honestly, he was literally like, yo, looking for me. And he probably was telling them about me. And then, boom, here I go jumping off a bike in front of you, jumping off a Nick's bike. And he's dead standing right there. I didn't even see him. So, I mean, I would have felt the way too. If he would have been, if I would have went somewhere that he's at and I seen him with a female, I know I would have felt the way. Because when he told me he faked, I threw up so bad that I had to go to the hospital. It looked like somebody choked me.
We're going to get to that. We definitely going to get to that. Now, and when I say jealous, I don't mean like jealous in a sense that, oh, like this is better than me. The guy whose bike she's hopping off of.
Yeah, it's like, why are you even there?
Possessive.
Well, maybe.
Yeah, like he see you as his, and therefore you shouldn't be on nobody's bike.
Yeah. He might have had a little possessiveness about him with some of his women. And I was definitely one.
Now, was there ever a time where he did get jealous, or like it was clear that like he was jealous of you like interacting with another man, and it doesn't have to be in a sexual way, but I'm just curious.
One day he had a cookout in his backyard, and I remember Yaki was or what, I can't remember. Yaki, what was his name in the Outlaws? See, this is the problem. Gaddafi. So most of y'all would know him by Gaddafi, but I know him by Yaki. And, I was at his house in Atlanta and I was spending some time with the boys and stuff. And like, he told me, like, show them how to like groom themselves a little better. Cause, they're going to start doing videos and things like that. So, he wanted them to appeal to women. So, he's like, give them a little pointers or whatever. So one, hanging out with them, doing that type of stuff. And the day of the barbecue, one of his hair taken out. He had cornrows. So he asked me to take his hair out. So like I'm sitting on, he had like a bench, like a bench in the backyard. So I'm sitting on the bench, Jock's on the floor, and I'm taking them cornrows out, and Pac comes out and just yanks his head, and it's like, that was the end of that though. After that, I didn't take out no more of his braids because he's like, yo, what the fuck is like, what you doing? Like, what is this? No, like, and I was just like,
So he yanked him up like
no. He playfully, he didn't like, he playfully just like yanked his hair, like, cause I'm over here doing that. So he pulled his hair and like, then my hands came out his hair, and he's like, yo, what the like, and then
like it was on some like, oh, we ain't doing none of that.
right. And, he was just like, I think he might have a little crush on you. So like, keep it cool. Like, chill. Like, but other than that, no.
That is hilarious.
It was.
That's so funny. That is so funny. I wanted to read something to you that's like kind of slightly related to like this theme of jealousy.
Uh-oh.
It's a letter that Tupac wrote Angela Artist, who wrote the book Inside a Thug's Heart. Have you ever read the book?
I have not. This is my first time hearing it. Okay. Well, you know what? I love to read, so I'll put it on my list.
I highly recommend it. I definitely highly recommend it. Shout out to Angela Artist.
Okay.
All right. So I'm going to read the first part. Now, in one of the letters that she wrote Tupac, she asked him if he was marrying Jada Pinkett because I guess there were rumors or like circulating in the media that they were getting married. Mm-hmm. So he's answering her question back in a letter.
Okay.
He says, Angela, no, I'm not marrying Jada. It was never an issue. Yes, she did ask me, but it was more out of pity than real love. Don't get me wrong. I do love Jada, but only as a friend. Mm-hmm. We've been through a lot together. No, I have never had physical relations with her, just friendship in its purest form. Please know that I'm trying my hardest to be honest with you, even if it's not what you want to hear.
Right.
Now, my first question is, did Tupac ever talk to you about Jada Pinkett or his relationship with Jada Pinkett?
Yes, he did. He did.
What did he say about her?
That she was somebody that he holds in high regards. And he told me he never had sex with her, that they never dated, like it wasn't that type of relationship. I actually told him I thought she was cute. And he was like, well, shit, maybe we could set something up one day. I was like, all right, whatever. But, yeah, I'm telling you, like, yeah, he had a whole little scenario, but I was like, all right. And, he just told me, like, that she was somebody that really was down for him and had his back and that he loved her, but in a platonic way. And, he told me things.
But how could it be platonic if he had fantasies of setting up a threesome? Or
he didn't have the fantasy. I'm the one that said she was cute. So.
Okay.
Yeah, so.
You crazy, doesn't right? All right, so Jada has claimed in multiple interviews that Pac was the one that proposed to her. Considering that Tupac couldn't have anticipated the letters would ever be released to the public, do you believe that Jada proposed to him or he proposed to her?
Well, that's a good one because that is something that he did not tell me. Not that he didn't tell me like that there was a time that they would have gotten married based because he thought he was going to get conjugal visits, but he just didn't tell me the nature of how that came to be. But if he said he didn't and he wrote that in that letter, I'm going to have to go with him because I've never caught him in a lie. He's been very real with me, and everything he's told me, I ain't never find it to be a lie, so I believe him.
Okay. And what are your thoughts on Jada Pinkett today? Like with her name just constantly being in controversy with her husband, Will. Do you still think she's cute?
I think she's cute, and she is, listen, we all have our little problem sides and whatever we doing. I don't know that lady and I don't know what's going on in her life, but she's very talented, and I think we're outside looking in. We don't know the nature of their relationship or what they got going on. Only what we find out, a little bits, like tidbits, but it's more than meets the eye most times. And I believe that right there. She ain't the devil. They in that together. Look.
No, I agree with that. I definitely agree. I think she gets a bad rep.
Yeah, because she's the one being outed.
Usually the conversation is always framed like, oh, Jada is embarrassing Will, or Jada, she's using Will. And it's just like, he's a grown-ass man in the relationship too.
Right. And they've been together for 20 years.
Will Smith. Yeah. And this is not some chump or like
right.
Nothing. This is Will Smith.
You ain't gonna slap somebody over your woman.
Was in love with Tupac?
I think she was in love with him, but maybe not in a sexual way, honestly. Because I think if she wanted him, I'm pretty sure she could have had him. I'm sure he would have did it. And I think that their relationship is a little bit above that. But yeah, I mean, to know him is to love him. If you would have met him one time, you would have loved him too. So imagine just having this friendship and bond and being a schoolmate and being a best friend. And you know what I'm saying? Like, she definitely loved him, loves him. Not love, but loves him. Because I can relate.
I think that it's funny because anytime I talk to other women about Tupac and Jada's relationship, and we're all talking and giving our take on it, it's starkly different than when I talk to a man about it. It's like the boys, they can't grasp the concept of two people who are of opposite sex not being in love with each other or having love for each other without the sex.
Exactly.
And I don't know if it's just because we're women and they're men, but I just always thought that was interesting.
I think it's because men become women's friends on the wait and see game. But if you curve them long enough, they'll either go away or they will become your friend. So he probably met her.
Definitely weigh you down with persistence.
Yes. Well, so they think. But I think with Pac and Jada, maybe he did like her at first. And maybe she just friend zoned him. And, and as they got to be friends and spend time together, they got a spiritual bond and a love for each other.
Yeah. All right. So Desiree, I'm gonna continue the letter, and I want your honest reaction in the moment.
Okay.
Okay.
You got it.
The letter continues. Please know that I'm trying my hardest to be honest with you, even when it's not what you want to hear. In my first letter, I told you about the person in my life, didn't I? Well, here's more information on her. Her name is Keisha. We've been real with each other and seeing each other for 9 months on the 19th of March. I've cheated on her, got shot up, basically drug her through hell, but she stayed in my corner and I'm very loyal. So she's the special person in my life. I now have a good relationship with her. We have no secrets. She knows of you, but not your name. I just told her that I had an intense pen pal in Georgia and one day we'd meet. She's not my girlfriend, but I am her king and I consider her to be my queen. I've written her poetry, but I have not written any of the poems made for you for her. That's my word. It's not in me to be dishonest and shady. I don't tell her the same things I tell you and vice versa.
Okay.
She knows that I like you and I'm attracted to you, and she's jealous. But she also knows that she's my queen and jealousy is not becoming of a queen. She's real cool. I say all this to say, if by chance I was ever to be married real fast, it would be to her, not Jada. Now, with all that being said, what are your thoughts on what you just heard in the letter? And did he ever talk to you about his relationship with Keisha Morris?
I never knew about Keisha until he got married.
No.
When I did not. So obviously there's some time overlapping there between me and him. I feel like when I got off that bike in the summer, it might have been like April, May time, that I don't know if that's when they met or they was rocking, whatever was going on. And then once he got shot and once he got arrested, I went upstate and I was up there for like 4 or 5 months. So I guess they was doing their thing and bonding. And how do I feel? Sometimes, like when I was younger, I felt kind of like betrayed in a way, a little bit, because I knew that I was fucking with him for a while and we had a bond as well. And then those things happened and I disappeared because of that court case. So I kind of felt like, damn, like I disappeared because of this court case and you go boo loving on somebody like to that extent. And, after he got shot, I didn't get a chance to see him and he married her. He got locked up the next day. He married her and, I was heartbroken. And I was heartbroken, I was heartbroken because he was arrested and he was in Rikers. Then, I was like, oh, well, I guess he found somebody, so I'm going to leave that alone. And that was my intent, to respect their marriage and leave him alone. Because, you know, we had our falling out. We never got to rectify the situation. And so be it. But then fast forward, and I'm in some nightclub. I don't remember exactly where. And I bump into Stretch. He tells me, "Oh, Pac's been asking about you. I know you should give me your, you know, your phone number so I can give it to him. You know, you probably could, like, whatever." So I was like, okay. And I'm in my head, I'm like, isn't he married? Like, what he's asking about me for anyway? It's like, all right, cool, whatever, you know. And
He greedy, girl. That's
he was a connoisseur of women. He's not greedy. Look, he was
okay.
enjoying
Take up
the
for your man.
flavors.
My bad.
Yes.
My bad. I'm gonna get it right, Desiree. I'll take up for your man. You got it.
So yeah, so that, like, that's how me and him reconnected afterwards, because I bumped into Stretch, similar to how I bumped into Big, and he was like, you know, I'm Pac, you know, he's been asking if I seen you, and so I gave him my number. He called me. He's like, yeah, I'm gonna come by, drop you his address, you know, cool. Then he shows up at my crib in Brooklyn at my grandmother's house, and then, you know, I ended up finding his movements a little funny. And as I'm hearing rumors, I'm hearing rumors through the grapevine that Big and Pac have a fallout. They not cool, but here's Stretch with all these people from Junior Mafia pulling up to my crib. And I'm just like confused. And then, you know, like, you know, I've said it, I don't, you know, need to redundantly say, like, you know, he tried to holler. So I was like, yeah, this is not feeling right.
We got to get into that. Okay. We have to get into that, Desiree, because it's some people that didn't hear your first interviews.
Oh, okay.
Take me through, like, when he tried to holler at you. I know you said that you didn't really like some of the moves that he was making prior to him showing up to your house with the people in Junior Mafia, but what else had he done up until that point that you just wasn't fucking with?
No. I had been hearing that Big and Pac wasn't cool. Puffy, like, he thought they had something to do with setting him up. I'm just hearing, like, you know, rumors and grapevine business. So when I saw Stretch, I'm thinking him and Stretch and Pac is like, they're like this still. So I'm like, all right, cool. You know, here's my number. I'm in Brooklyn. You know, I'm like, call me. You know, when you speak to him, whatever, you get his information, you know, you're going to drop it off to me. Cool. So when he does come to my house, he pulls up. He got the whole entourage. He got Junior Mafia people, you know, some other niggas. And I'm just like, well, if you come, you know, whatever, you coming to drop something off, I ain't worried. I just come outside to get it. When I come out there and I'm like, yeah, what's up with his thing? That nigga said, nah, what's up with me and you?
As if Stretch could ever take you from a nigga that looked like Tupac. I'm sorry. God bless the dead and all of that.
Oh yeah, rest in peace.
Yes. But girl.
Yes.
Girl.
So when he said that, I was like, what? Now I'm like, like brushing them off, like, all right, whatever, like, yeah. So he never gave me Pac's.
I would have been like, bye, ugly.
I don't think he even gave me Pac's information. And then I'm looking at the people he's with, and I'm just like, all right, cool. So maybe, you know, a week, 2 weeks later, I don't know how I got his information, if it was off of MTV or something like that. Like, they wrote his address to the jail. And I wrote him a letter, and this letter wasn't to like, babe, I love you, I miss you. It was, hey, you know, how are you? I finally got your address, you know. And in that letter, I put to him that Stretch had came and that he came to my house. He told me this stuff, and he's like, I didn't, you know, when I finally did see him, he's like, I didn't send him there, like, nah. And I told him, you know, I didn't know what was going on, but, you know, he kind of tried to like holler at me. He was with these dudes, and I'm hearing that you had a fallout with so-and-so, and, you know, and I'm like, you know, I heard you're married. Congratulations. You know, I'm just reaching out as a friend. And then that's when I got the first letter from him. And he was on his own, like, yeah, friendship, whatever. And, you know, he also told me like, yeah, he don't know who to trust right now. Like everybody's moving funny, he ain't really fucking with Stretch like that. And, just, to, watch out in the world because people are moving like snakes. And that was the beginning. And also that, he still wanted to rekindle whatever we had before. And, yeah. And I think the second letter was when he wrote to me and told me that he told Keisha about us, and that, which is like annoying me because you just read that letter and I'm like, damn, it's 20. Let it go. All right.
Girl.
Still jealous. Look.
I feel like you have the right. I mean, that was your man, girl. Like,
wow.
he was dealing with other women, but
I had a part of him. Yeah, of course.
Listen, I'm not one of those fans that feel like you don't have the right to be mad or be jealous because just up and left you and got married after you was the one that was down for him.
Well, I guess she was
like,
too.
You really had to uproot your life and leave so that you wouldn't be harassed.
Right.
You got caught up in his
court case. That, yeah. Yeah, so
it's okay to rage.
It was the same thing.
Call us angry black women anyway.
That's a fact. So yeah, so he told me that he was gonna send for me and she would handle all my arrangements, which I was put like, what? Okay, cool.
Keisha was busy, child. She was busy.
Obviously. And I feel for her. In that time, at that age, I ain't have the heart to care about nobody but myself, but in this age, in this time, that had to be a lot for her. That had to be a lot.
Everybody was young.
She was young. She was in love. And, I know how she felt. I would have did anything for him as well. I'm just happy that she got to play that role. Because I don't think I would have, I don't know. I don't know how, I'm not a good listener. We'll just say that.
Listen, Desiree, I would have been in your position.
I talk back.
I'd
have been like, yeah, I'm gonna bring her up here. But I'm gonna tell you, I think Keisha got to her limit one day because, when he told I think the visit he told her that he wanted a divorce, she came back the next visit, and I was in the bathroom, and all of the outlaws was there that day, except for Fatal and Noble, and I was in the bathroom. I didn't never get to see her, but she came in the visit before I came, and that's when I was staying upstate. With him, like staying up there to see him all the time. And she was looking for me, I heard. So.
Looking for you how? Like she really wanted to meet or like she wanted to fight?
Well, I'm going to say that Gaddafi said, and Muta, I think I remember, they was trying to make fun like she was going to beat my ass. And I was like, oh yeah? But if I was in her shoes, I would have done the same. I'm not mad at her. Like I would have been waiting for you at the bus stop when you get off. You're not even going to the visit, sister. Like,
okay. But listen, that's crazy because you want to know the funny thing? This book that I just read you, the snippet from the letter, Angela.
Yeah. Who's this Angela? I know about her.
She was literally a fan. She was a fan that reached out to Tupac.
Okay.
She sent them some pictures. She sprayed the envelope with some Perry Ellis perfume.
Okay.
She wrote him a decent letter.
I hear that.
Her letter wasn't thirsty or nothing.
Right.
He ended up writing her back and just becoming
friends.
Like captivated by her. Not just like I want to get to know you, but like I'm talking about he was pressed, Desiree. Like he was very, very. You have to read this book.
I might have to read that. I need to see them dates.
You have to read it because I'm telling you, your man, he was in these letters like before Angela's second letter got back to him in the prison. He had wrote her like 3 more letters. Like, I'm just writing you again. Just, I'm hoping that, I'm just being impatient and you've written me back. And, I'm telling you, you have to read it.
Okay.
But anyway, I said all that to say that there was a point in the book where he wanted Angela and Keisha to meet. So they had planned to, he had set it up where they would come up there on the same day. And at the very last minute, Keisha Morris bailed. So when you say she had reached her limit, that's true because it wasn't just with you. It was with Angela as well.
Her and some other girl named Simi too, because that I knew about. Lord, this man was doing, she was.
Was she a girlfriend?
No, she was just somebody that wrote to him as well with pictures. She was an attractive young girl. Probably.
God, this man was busy.
And it's crazy because, he told me like when he got out, like he would like to meet her or whatever. And I'm just sitting there like, Okay. You know, and it's just like, what you gonna do? No, you can't. You're not my child. But yeah, he wanted his cake and have it all too. So
Yes. So did you ever vocalize to him like, Pac, I don't want to meet none of them bitches.
he never asked. I don't know if you read his letters to me, but I know he told in one of them he told me to be nice. I don't think he would want me to meet none of his bitches or his
Oh, so you
wife.
would have tried to fight.
I don't know what I would have did. I just know
Oh my God.
he don't know what I would have did.
Fight.
I don't know.
I feel like you would have tried to fight.
I might have.
You from the Bronx. I mean, you were born in the Bronx, raised in Brooklyn.
And man,
all the Brooklyn girls I know, they rough and they loyal. And y'all just be ready. And then y'all act so prim and proper. Y'all all act the same way. All the ones that I know. Yes. Yes, y'all all act so prim and proper, but like y'all be demons for real. I'm telling you.
Well, he knew I had a little feisty side, so he was like, be nice when she contacts you. She's a nice girl. I'm like, okay, whatever. Even he called me on the phone too, and he told me, yeah, she called me. She got me my ticket to go up there. She told me how I had to dress on the dress thing. She told me where I could find. She basically arranged my whole trip. Twice.
And what were you saying on the phone? Like when she's telling you, like, don't wear this, don't wear that. Were you just like, okay, girl? I'm like,
I was like, okay, because what are you gonna say? Like, girl, are you okay? Blink twice if you need help. I was like, all right. Yeah. She was very professional, and I just was like, okay. She had no attitude because I like, and I was just like, this is weird. That's what I thought, and I thought to myself, I would never. You're gonna have somebody else orchestrate that. Not that I'm saying I would.
You better get one of your cousins to do it. Yeah. You better get one of your cousins.
Yo, you better get somebody to do that. Don't have me doing that. Because, like, I just think I know she had to have cried. That's your husband, and he's telling you to arrange for other women to come and see him. And I know how Pac is. He ain't lie. He ain't say he ain't feeling nothing and he ain't trying to reunite something. He's telling you exactly what it is. And you got the choice. You're going to do it or not. And if you don't do it, whatever happens then, like, you could go too. So, I mean.
Everybody was down for the ride. That's the funny part.
You would have been too, sis. So.
I know. Oh, that's not no secret. I would have been with whatever, okay? I definitely wouldn't have been, like, I wouldn't have been meeting up with none of his, because I know
right. I am. Yeah, like, so that part, no.
He wouldn't even ask me no shit like that if we would have knew each other, because... Like
exactly my feelings as well, because listen, meet who, why? Like for what? Maybe meet then I don't know. Yeah, no.
Maybe meet who?
Keep that over there. Well, if things would have went as planned and I would have moved to LA and Keisha they got divorced, then eventually I would have probably had to have some type of interaction with her if they would have stayed married. But
oh yeah, y'all were supposed to have like some kind of like Eskimo sister kind of thing going on because I remember you saying in the interview that he was going to put you in an apartment on
the Wilshire apartment he had, yeah. No, Calabasas is where he ended up buying the house.
Calabasas.
And
okay.
Yeah, so the universe intervened in that, and thank God.
Ooh, okay. So do you think that Pac married Keisha Morris for all the wrong reasons? I mean, convenience, conjugal visits.
Not to be mean, because I'm a woman first before anything else, but I do think that. I think she knows that as well. I think he did have care and that he loved her. I'm not going to discredit that in any way. And I know she did do a lot of things for him when he was in jail, So she proved herself as a loyal woman. But he was who he was. And had he not been locked up, he wasn't marrying nobody no time soon. That I will start with. And, he thought, he might be in jail for 4 years. He might have the ability to have conjugal visits. And she was there and she proved her loyalty to him. And he felt, one thing about Pac is like, he had to be able to trust you. Because if not, there's nothing he could do with you. So, but yeah. And if I would have been around him or he would have married Jada, the same thing would have happened to each one of us. So, in a way, some people are like, she was lucky, but nobody knows her pain or what she went through at night, sleeping alone or sleeping while somebody's on a visit with your husband. And, I think about stuff like that more so now.
And as a fan, I think all of y'all were lucky. Like, regardless of like whether you dealt with him.
Absolutely.
Dealt with him.
Absolutely. Just having the pleasure of meeting him, even if it was at one time. I was just blessed that I got to, over a period of 3 years, get to spend this time with him, before he departed this earth. And nobody could take that away from me. Nobody was there. Nobody can steal that experience. And nobody will have that experience.
Oh, so I was just gonna say that as a grown-up woman now, just turned 30 in June, I don't see it as a knock against Keisha Morris because she really was young. She was like 22, 23 years old, and I feel like we've all been young and dumb for somebody.
Always.
Now what level that was, that's a different story. But then also, I just think that, if Tupac, if he did in fact play her, which is what some people think, like a lot of people think that he was playing all of y'all, but I just feel like, well, being played by a nigga like that is not being played by just any other nigga. So it's like,
I don't think his intention was to play her, though. I don't feel like he was a user of people.
He thought he was right. That's what I think. I think he thought that because he was honest that it was okay.
Yes. That's exactly it. He kept things up front.
Young at the time. I think he was too young at the time to see it for what it was, which was selfish and arrogant. But that's what you are when you're young.
That's exactly. My son is his age now when he died. And I see it's crazy because Pac's maturity and accomplishments out of this world.
He was ahead of his time. It's crazy.
But my 25-year-old son right now can be selfish, can be arrogant. He don't know. He thinks he knows everything. We all did at that age.
Though. We've all been there. Like that's when I talk to people, I always have to stress the fact that, hey guys, he died.
Remember, exactly. And he's accomplished more.
So ahead of his time, and he was so mature. He was still immature.
He was still a young man. He was a young man.
Yeah, like he's young. He's famous. He's getting money. The money probably leaving as quickly as it's coming in because of all these court cases and shit like that.
That was crazy.
He has, and he was a sex symbol.
Absolutely.
So it's not like he just had the fame and he just had the intelligence. He had everything.
The total package. Now you see why we was all falling in line.
Oh no, I've been so that. I've been so that.
What you want, baby?
What you want me to do? You say jump. I'll say how high.
Okay.
What do you want me to do? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
World album. What are your personal thoughts on the album? Is it your favorite, or are you an All Eyes on Me kind of girl or a Machiavelli kind of girl?
I love all three. If you ask me, my favorite would probably be All Eyes on Me.
Okay.
Because I was around him and with him during the time that he was writing those in jail. Most of those songs were completed in jail. And it's two that are on that album that, he dedicated to me or wrote about me.
Oh, girl, let people know. Which songs?
I Ain't Mad at You is one of them. I'm Mad at You. And
I didn't know that.
I'd Rather Be in It is the other. And then now, after us, we reconnected, and then we had another falling out, but thank God this wasn't over no bike riding or nobody. It was just me and him. But I believe the album off Machiavelli as well, just like Daddy parts were about me as well.
Oh yeah. So the first time I heard your interview that you did with Art of Dialogue 5 years ago, and you talked about Stretch trying to talk to you. I knew from then, that confirmed for me that the song was about you, because he literally says in the song, when my fake homies try to fuck you, run and tell me. That's why I stay committed. I thank God every time I hit it, hoping you'll forgive me for the times I bullshit. So, and it sounds like it's your situation. So I always thought that song was about you. And it's funny because that's one of my favorite Tupac songs, and it just seems like it's such a sleeper on the album.
It is. I love it too. But yeah, when I heard that, and I think I heard it after he passed away, and I knew it was just like, I know nobody got to tell me, and at this point I can't even confirm it because he's not even here. So, but I knew.
Okay, so what's your favorite? What's if you had a top 5 favorite Tupac songs, what would they be?
I love Ambitions as a Rider. I love Just Like Daddy. I love I'd Rather Be in It. I love It's see, now you're saying just top 5. So
Yep, 5.
and I gave you 3.
Narrow it down. Mm-hmm.
So
Ambitions of
wait,
Ride.
on the Machiavelli album, what is the name of the song? It's like Daddy Tell Me Remember What My Papa Told Me. I love that song.
Blasphemy.
And yes, Blasphemy.
Now, Desiree, you know we got to get into the salacious, the hot and steamy love letter that Tupac sent you, where on the envelope,
Oh
there's
God.
a photo. Girl, yes, we're getting into it.
Oh,
There's a picture of you two passionately making love, and it has "missing you deeply" on the cover, like on the front of the front of the envelope. Do you remember your reaction when you first saw the envelope?
hell
when you first
yeah.
received the letter?
Hell yeah. I had got that letter and I pushed it right back inside because I was in front of my aunt, somebody. I was like, and I ran to the bathroom and I opened it and I was looking at that and that shit had me like, I'm missing you. I'm missing you the same way too, baby. Just slowly waiting for you to get out of there. And but yeah, that made me blush. It makes me blush to this day.
Yeah, clearly, right? Look at. I wish you could see your face.
I wish I could imagine. I'm like, I'm probably red as hell. Yeah, that was the one. That and Just Like Daddy. Those two songs, that and that song, I'm like, just
girl,
let everybody know. Look how you really feel.
girl, I love that song, and I'll say, like, as a fan, like somebody who genuinely loves his music, that's probably the only song where I like the Outlaws. I like every other Outlaws verse better than Tupac's, and that's not to say that his verse was bad or anything like that,
But they shined up on
but
that.
I don't know. Yeah, they shine. Like, that was the one song where I feel like they shine, except for the hook.
Mhm.
I couldn't believe he wrote the hook. I wrote Edie on Twitter one day asking him, like, who wrote the hook to Just Like Daddy? And he said, whatever you heard come out of Pac's mouth, he wrote it.
Mhm. Yeah.
So, because back then rappers weren't singing their own hooks.
Right.
It wasn't like they weren't melodic, and that's another thing he don't get credit for. Like, starting this whole wave of like melodic rap,
Exactly.
where he was like one of the first rappers who rapped in a melodic way.
Exactly.
So I see he still make you blush to this day, and I wanted to know, like, out of all the great things about him, what did you love the most?
I loved the late night conversations after we drank, after we went out, after we had sex, all of that. It was the laying in bed and talking all night till the sun comes up. Him being himself and just his vulnerability that people did not get to see. And that was when he was at his most sexiest. Or I loved him the most at those moments. And
so what was the difference between him being vulnerable with you and him being vulnerable with his public audience enough to say, like, hey, my mother is a crackhead, but I love her anyway? Him being vulnerable with his public audience enough to say, like, hey, my mother is a crackhead, but I love her anyway. What was the difference in vulnerability? Because I feel like it takes a strong person to be that vulnerable for either or,
Well, I think Pac was the type where it's like you're gonna, like, I'm not holding back nothing. You're gonna see everything, and he could expose reality with his mother, but certain things that were secretly said, in hotel rooms or in apartments or wherever we were, like, that was things that were not for the world. I mean, everybody could know that his mother was in the Black Panthers and she gave birth to him in jail in her story. But what he chose to share with me and our experiences and things we both went through, I don't think the public would know. Maybe some of the other girls might know, but, I would hope that it was special in that moment that he shared and bared his soul with me.
Okay. I got some. I definitely have something crazy to ask you, but, like, off the record. But okay.
Well, why don't you try on? Now, maybe I'll answer. If I can't, I can't. But
yeah, I think you kind of answered it. I think you kind of answered it.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So you said what you loved the most. What did you hate the most? Was he stubborn? Was he like?
He was very stubborn. He was stubborn. Yeah, he was very stubborn. What I hated the most was that I saw things coming at times. And even though I couldn't articulate it to him, but I saw trouble coming. But I'm trying to think about him personality wise. Nah, you know what I hated?
You would see trouble?
No. Like, that's just like things like premonitions of trouble to come just because of certain things that was going around at the time. But what I did dislike about him personally was that we had kind of a mirror image of each other where it's like when we get upset, we say what we say, and there we go, we headbutt, and nobody was backing down. And it's like, okay, and what? That was that like, okay, so what? So what? Like, you mad, I'm mad, and what? And maybe just that we both were stubborn and we just used to bump heads and clash, but that wasn't often because most of the time we were having a good time. But when we bumped heads and nobody was backing down and nobody was apologizing. So.
So that's something that you hated, like his stubbornness.
Yeah, because.
Which is something, a quality.
I'm used to getting in my way. So.
Oh, you used to see, I told you, Brooklyn girls, they be so prim and proper. You're just a princess. Ooh. But then you're crazy too. So it's like. All right. So while he's locked up in prison, he starts plotting revenge on Biggie and Bad Boy. Could you speak a little bit more to his plans as far as like what he told you directly?
Well, it wasn't just to them. It was to the people that, actually set him up to be shot as well. And, his plan was to get his money right, to put himself in a position where he was financially secure because, if your money's right, you could do a lot. And
you can wage war if you actually.
You got to have your money together. So, his part of his plot was to be successful, align himself with the right team, and basically to shut them down. Make his music, shut him down, like just take over that and, other things as well. But I'll leave that to, the street. He didn't elaborate that much.
Okay. Now Faith has been doing interviews for the last 2 decades saying that Tupac lied and hit him up about sleeping with her. I understand that you were actually the one that like worked with Tupac, to come up with the plot to sleep with her. Tell me a little bit more about the role you played in this genius and devilish plan to avenge, for revenge, because he was out for revenge.
That was his way of getting Big back immediately. Was he was that like he gonna fuck with his bitches, and he was like Kim, and I was like Kim or Faith, and I was like, I think you got a better chance in Faith because before I knew that they weren't on good terms, I lived maybe 10 blocks away from where Big lived at. So I would, occasionally like the hood would get together. Everybody would ride out, go to his shows and stuff like that. And it was around the time he married Faith. So I'm like, and then, being around that circle, hearing this and everything moving still, even though he's married, they having problems, she's constantly catching him and shit. So I was like, she's probably the weakest link because when your man is embarrassing you publicly, sometimes you got some frustration and you got you got a little revenge streak in you. So I was like, I think, you might want to go after her instead of Little Kim because I feel like she's more loyal or more rada to him. So, that was how we got that cracking. And when he got out, as fate would have it, very soon he bumped into her. And after he fucked her, so I'm in Queens, he's in California. That afternoon, he called me and he called me and told me that he did it. First, he's like, I did it. I told you I'd do it. I did it. And I'm like, yeah, what did you do? And he's like, I just that bitch. And I was like, oh, wow. I'm like, yay, great. Okay. And, we spoke.
How did you react?
I was dry.
Honestly,
I was dry. I was like, oh, okay, yay. Like, but it was killing me. Yes, it was killing me inside. But, I was like, okay, great, yay. Then he, switched up the subject and he's like, I'm about to send for you to come out here. And I was like, all right, cool, whatever. And he's like, when, you're available. So that changed the subject. And then I was like, cool. But as soon as I hung up the phone with him, I got this urge to just vomit. Like, I was just so upset, hurt, like disgusted. And then I started throwing up to the point where I ended up having to go to the emergency room that night because I like choked on my own throw up and my irises became bloodshot red. It looked like they thought I had been strangled. Like that's how uncontrollable I started vomiting.
Gosh.
That's why.
Now, were you disgusted because here's the man you love calling you, telling you that he just another woman, or were you disgusted because it was Faith? I mean,
No, I was disgusted because I loved him, and you know, it just like I loved him, and even though I thought I could stomach, you know, because it's like we discussed this, and you know, you're calling me because it's like, yeah, we hatched this little plan, and we talked about this, and boom, I did it.
The planning phases.
It was, and in reality, it was too much for me to handle, and that's how I know, like, you know, in theory, it sounds good, but I don't think I would have been able to be a part of the harem because I want more. I wanted more, but I wanted him too bad. So that was a fight, an inner fight.
Oh my gosh. So when you guys were originally discussing it, did he automatically say like, I'm going to get at Kim? Like, did he ever say anything to you about being attracted to Kim?
No, no, he just, I don't think I think if they wouldn't have been attached to Big, I don't even think they would have been on the radar. He wasn't attracted to Kim or nothing like that. It was just, he knew this nigga was fucking with her for a minute. And then, you know, he ups and marries Faith out the blue, like out of nowhere, but everybody knew Kim was his bitch. So, you know, it was like, sometimes a man's wife is his wife and his other is maybe his heart. So, you know, I think that's more along the lines. He was just trying to get at whatever was going to hurt and embarrass him.
Okay. Okay, so Faith said in her memoir that Pac demanded that she suck his wee wee so that she can get paid for the song, so that she could get paid for the song "Wonder Why They Call You Bitch," and that she had no idea that Tupac was signed to Death Row before going over there to record the song. What are your thoughts?
I think that's comedy. I think that's comedy because she didn't know that Suge was on Death Row, and she signed to Bad Boy, and Suge was fucking Puff's baby mama, and Pac was fucking her best friend.
Who her best friend? Who was the best friend?
Who still is her best friend?
Oh, I don't know this other way. I'm trying to get you to say it.
I know, but she's
in. Would she happen to be a singer? Who
absolutely.
For the last 4 decades.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And would the singer happen to have an album titled "My Life"?
Absolutely. You got it. So yeah, so Faith wanna act. Faith just lying off the like. She just gonna run with this lie and go with it. Ain't nobody tell her about no sucking, no weeps. Suck his dick to get paid. I've never heard that before. I wouldn't even read her book. That's what you call fiction, not fact.
Yeah, she said that Tupac demanded she suck his wee wee before she got her check.
Oh, okay. Well, she got a check. She got her check, but she didn't suck no wee wee. And they couldn't release the song. As soon as I got to LA, the next day, he took me to the studio to play me her version and told me like they wouldn't clear it, but they did the song. Like
he got it.
She's a fiction writer.
Do you think Tupac ever lied on? Do you think he ever lied or would ever lie on his?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. So here's two things we're going to go on. Now, normally when somebody's first we're going to deal with that. But of the people that he said he had sex with, nobody else is saying that he didn't. And he really wasn't a kiss and tell. You just was dumb.
It was just Faith.
You thought he liked you. You didn't never cross your mind. He got a problem with your man. Now you did that on spite. And you just don't want to, you know, say what it is. It is what it is. He didn't lie on his dick. He ain't never lied on his dick. He don't got to lie on his dick. Just throwing themselves at him by the dozens. But also on that aspect as well, going back to the case. So just one person, nobody's never come out ever again and say any type of story about this man doing anything.
That's why I don't believe it.
Now you see these other people that are being accused of sexual assault, rape, things like that.
Rapists don't just rape one.
That's a pattern. Yeah, that's a habit. So no, he's not a liar. Not about his dick, and not about touching or doing anything with anybody, forcing them to do anything. He wasn't asking that lady to suck his dick for no damn check because she already fucked him. So that's just another one of her lies to cover her tracks. Those who don't know.
Yeah. Now, to be fair, just me as a spectator, I think that if I'm shooting Faith some Bell, to be fair, Tupac, she wanted to spite her, but she didn't know that they both were gonna die the way that they
True.
died. So is that why you think she's carried the lie out for so long? Because of how things ended?
Nope. 2, she wants to save face and not look like a whore. And I believe that she has a child with Big, and she don't want to tarnish that image of their relationship and have her son look at her any different. Because being put in her shoes, that's what I would think. Like, I got this man's child. I'm not ever going to say that I slept with his enemy. Because how does my son look and think about me at that point?
But do you think it would have been something, let's just say hypothetically, Tupac and Biggie were still alive today. Do you think it still would have been something that she would have had trouble admitting to?
She still has that man's child at the end of the day. I think if she didn't maybe have children, whether they dead or alive, she probably might have kept it more real. She did what she did out of spite. She never intended for the world to know it. She was being a sneak. And I don't know. I'm a dick like this. If I was her and I had the opportunity to fuck after laying up under Big, I would take it. But
me too.
Yeah, I would take it.
I would lie about it too, though. But I wouldn't keep his name. I would just tell people not to ask me about it in interviews.
No, she's adamant, but at the end of the day, she does have a child with Big. So you think about it. You don't have kids yet, but when you do, you will realize there's a lot of things I will and will not do because I have a child. And I'm not, especially a male child, I'm not going to embarrass my sons I have sons, but I wouldn't embarrass my son by letting him know I did some real thot with my husband, your dad's op. So yeah, I'm taking that to the grave.
And I can't say that I'm mad at her. I just don't like the fact that she be lying on my face.
Yeah.
Saying, like, putting out all these stories saying, oh, he told me that I got to suck his dick to get paid. And it's just like,
yeah, that's crazy. Like, that's crazy. That's the first time I heard that. That's crazy.
Yeah, she put that in her book.
What, you was giving prostitute? Why did he think that you had to get paid, like, suck dick for money?
She had to suck his willy to get the check.
That sounds crazy. That don't even sound like that man. And I'm sure you do lots of interviews. Make sure you ask everybody who personally know him if that sounds like something he would do or say. Because I don't think not one person's gonna sit there and be like, yeah, that's Pac. He would have. No, absolutely not. No money for favors.
Yeah, I don't see it. But then, people tell me like, oh, well, you didn't know him. You never met him. So,
Well, I did.
It is what it is.
I did, and that's totally out of his character.
Period.
Went to meet up with his mother before we were heading to the hospital. And, she kind of, pulled me to the side and, she was talking and she told me that they were engaged, that they were together and they were engaged. And I, okay, cool. I'm here because I just want him to know, like, I'm here. I want to make sure you're good. I want you to know we cool, whatever, no matter what, we're good. And, in a little while.
Basically, this bitch is not coming in between us.
Yeah, she wasn't. So, but, so yeah, she told me that, and then I bump into Kadada, his assistant, and someone else in the like coming out of his mom's room, and I saw her ring. She had a beautiful big ring, looked about good 4 carats. And I was like, oh, okay, like this is real. So yes, they were engaged and they were together.
Now, did you actually ever meet Kadada before Tupac got shot?
No.
In Vegas and stuff like that?
I met her the night that I got to the hospital. Never. I didn't know her. And the only time I had been to LA was when I was with him. So, I wasn't like, I never was out there like partying and, being in circles like I was in New York. So I didn't know pretty much anybody from out there really.
You ran into her years later.
I sure did.
Tell me about that. Why? Because I want to get to the bottom of why you don't really f with her. Because even like his other chicks, I can tell when you talk about him, there's no beef with Keisha Morris. There's no beef with like any of the other
Absolutely
girls.
Not.
For whatever reason.
Because I like women that act like women. Because when I showed up to the hospital when he was shot, I came and I asked, for a family member, somebody to come out. that was a personal friend of his. And instead of them going and getting a family, well, they got his cousin, and his cousin and Kadada came out. So his female cousin Mo, and her energy was crazy to me. This man is in the hospital. They're taking out his lung, like he's had all these gunshots and wounds to his body, and you're fucking pissed because a female shows up at the hospital. You're rolling your eyes with an entitled attitude. Like, everything about her was just like everything I'm not and everything I dislike. And I just didn't like it. I felt like you should be more concerned about your man laying in the hospital bed than me, because I paid my dues. I spent my time. I proved my loyalty to him, and I care about him, whether I'm with him or not. So if I want to come and check on somebody that I love, I didn't come there to be with your man. I wanted to make sure he was okay, because I knew this was serious. Okay. So that turned me off. And, but I don't know, because I can put myself in her shoes, but I would have been more focused on
You was
the
just
man.
probably the easiest thing to focus on and be mad at.
Maybe.
At the time.
Whatever it was, but she was mad years later. She was still fucking pissed.
Really?
Hell yeah. Hell yeah.
So what happened when you seen her, like, after Tupac's death?
So, my oldest child's father, aunt, she does special events for a lot of high profile musical tastes, and he ate like a fat ass. Yeah, like, he loved all types of music. People would think, maybe like he's a straight hip hop, but he loved all genres of music. He, in his spare time, like, one of his favorite artists was Sarah McLachlan. And yeah, he loved food. He ate.
What's what's a song that he put you on, a song that nobody would expect him to know, that he put you on that just stuck with you throughout the years?
I don't know if people didn't expect him to know it, but he, two songs, like, he really loved the OJ's Brandy. That was one of his favorites, but I'm sure that was inspired, like all of us, we listen to the music of our parents. And Sadie was another song he loved. I'm trying to, and we both, like I said, we both kind of like discovered Sarah McLachlan at the same time. So, like, some of those songs on her, what was it, Fumbling Towards Ecstasy, maybe was the name of the album. But some of those songs on there, like, were really good. I put him onto a song, and then he made a song from the song as well.
What?
Who You Believe In was originally like a Jamiroquai song, and I heard it, and I just, like, loved the melody to it. So when that was one of our things that we used to do, like, that's back in the days where you had Tower Records, or like the subscriptions, the CDs. So in the little CD player, so I would, I have my CD player. I would always, like, play music, and he played music, and so I would bring him songs and be like, hey, listen to this. See how you like it. And when I went to visit him in LA, I remember specifically, like, yo, I'm going to bring this album because, like, there's some really cool songs out here. I think he might be interested. And I showed it to him, and he was like, all right. He's like, look, I'm going to go to the studio today. I'm going to be back in a couple hours. He's like, here's some money. Go shopping. Do whatever you want to do. He's like, and when he came back, he put me on the couch, popped the CD in, and played it. And I was like, wow. Like, I couldn't believe, like, oh, he really liked it.
That fast? Well, I'm not sure.
Girl, he would sit on the toilet while taking a poop and write a song and come out the bathroom with, like, that fast. And not like he has to go back and keep correcting it over and over again. Like, he was the type of person that could, in one shot, knock it out the park. And it just was all, like, flowing
in the studio, and, like, he was writing so fast that it was
so
just fast. Like, I was amazed at how fast the words and the thoughts were coming to him as he was, like, scribbling them down on the page.
Exactly. Like, it was just like, I don't even know, like, it just doesn't make sense how, like, it's almost like he was touched with this, because the way it would come out and it would be perfect. That's a talent.
For sure. I think it's deeper than a talent. It's a purpose.
Yes. He was definitely put on this earth to speak and give a message.
For sure. Well, all right. I think that's all I had to ask. I asked you all of.
All right. What's your you ready to get off the record? Can I get my coat now?